Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a look at the Tier 6 British Heavy Cruiser Surrey. There's the Fraser build on the screen there. The Makawa helps out with the concealment. I've been looking at the numbers, and then I've put these builds together. And, with the Makawa on there, you got one of the best concealments at the tier. So you're going to have good concealment on the ship anyways. Shards, domination mode, by the way. But Makawa just kind of brings it up into its own little echelon. So I'm digging the build so far. I got Yamamoto on there currently. Traverse, I've heard some people saying in the comments of the last video, the Devonshire, that they were running Tenet because of the Traverse on this. Now, I've been looking at my ship stats, and the light cruisers seem to me that they have actually worse Traverse than this particular line. Now, the philosophies you should have for both these lines, in my opinion, AP centric for the light cruisers for sure, because that's all you can shoot on those. I'm going to get a lot more HE, and I've been playing, a good even split between the AP and the HE on this ship, on these heavy cruisers. So if you're going to determine commanders, which of the two you want to use, looking at the Traverse is certainly important. Do note that the light cruisers have the worst Traverse. Mobility is not going to be great on either heavy or light cruisers. And then you want to evaluate, okay, what kind of guns am I going to be looking for? What kind of shells am I going to be using? And the heavy cruisers, you're going to want to boost the HE a little bit if that's part of your build philosophy, or if you're going more survivability, then of course you can focus on that. Anyway, here we're deploying here. I'm using this concealment to kind of get into position where we can utilize these islands. On this spawn down here south, on the eastern side of Shards, if I'm in a more agile cruiser, a lot of times I'll turn to the left and then get into a kiting formation and then try and bob and weave early on. That'll give you better shots into the B spawn as well. That you can usually score some nice hits from the flanks into B on the map Shard. So you want to be looking for those shots. But cruisers that are more island prone, like Americans, for instance, or cruisers that don't have as good of mobility, like these British cruisers, well, you're going to want to be utilizing the islands. You can, on occasion, get away with open water type of play with these, but it's not recommended, and it's not what your default should be. So anyway, we noticed that there's two destroyers over here on the red flank, and then the King George V behind him. Now, it looks currently like he's going to go through this gap that I'm near, kind of where the torpedo is sitting. So I'm trying to establish some sort of ambush here with the torps. If he comes through that gap, we'll get some torps on there. And I want to support this destroyer, because I'm assuming the two red destroyers that are directly north of this cap should be rushing in here, trying to prevent us from capturing this base. And of course, we got one destroyer on here. I'm not even sure what he is at the moment, but if we can support him, help against these two enemy destroyers, get them off the board, preferably, well, that'd be a very strong opening play. But we do capture C, that's the flank, and we're in the process of capturing A, and we're kind of in the process of capturing B. So at this point in time in the game, things are looking pretty good. Not getting spotted by these destroyers. Helena's rushing through here, so I'm going to switch over to we discharge our load in the direction of the Helena first off, then we switch over to AP, because you can see on the map there he's kind of flushed going north or south to north, and if we can tickle him in the broadside there, we can take him down very quickly with the AP. So he recognizes the danger he's in, he immediately starts kiting. We aim the shot up just a little bit to hit the superstructure in that case, and we still get a decent shot. Now we got a New Mexico parked on the moon, with access to the broadside. Well, that's not a great thing to have happened. Now, you can see on the map there, he's kind of playing this far back island. Unfortunately, I'm getting the impression that he's a pretty new player. He's not going to have a lot of impact back there, but in this case, he does have access to the sides, and we're getting driven south by the King George's menacing presence here. So this is a very, very dangerous situation. We got a New Mexico with full broadside and a King George with, about a 45-degree angle. Both of those ships can conceivably kill us in one shot if they got the AP loaded. So at this point in time, we're letting the crew off that's panicking. Some of our crew's panicking. We're like, all right, you guys get off here. We're going to take a couple shots at the Mayhem with the assumption that we're probably going to die here, So if we can score some shots, or heaven forbid, even kill this Mayhem, that would be decent. I'm always is a strong word, but usually in the mood to trade a cruiser for a destroyer in most instances. And in this instance, where we're under the assumption we're going to die due to our mispositioning and the fact that we can't steer without hitting this giant island, if we can score that destroyer before we go down, great. Luckily for us, though, he pops the smoke, and he's going to lose sight of us here in a moment, I think. We're taking a lot of incoming fire, but, we're still kind of in the assumption that we're going down here. So we're just going to keep shooting these guys, get as much damage as possible. Now we got a Gaeta coming over here, the blue team destroyer coming back. A note on our, directly south of me of the map here, we got this Warspite down there. Now I think he ends up having some pretty good plays this game, or at least he improves what he's doing. But right now, I don't even think he's in range to shoot this guy. He's 9.2 north of me, and the guy, the Warspite, I believe, is about 8 kilometers south of me. So he's very long range. I guess we see some shots going in there. So he's in range to shoot, but, this is, you kind of got to recognize, like, battleships, you're there to prevent the enemy from bullying your cruisers and destroyers, and if you're parked way in the back, like the New Mexico's to the north or the Warspite to the south, you're going to have a hard time imposing your will on the enemy team and preventing them from bullying your guys. So I'm not really digging the position there. Luckily, and somewhat incredibly, we actually got out of there alive. Now, what we got to evaluate here, they flipped A. We're still working on B. Of course, the name of the game, domination mode, we talk this all the time. Capture a flank and capture the center, then defend the center. But that kind of goes hand in hand with having cleared your flank. Now, we control C, the cap currently, but we do not control the flank. In fact, I've been driven off. The Warspite's hasn't been driven off, but he's willingly left. And we got the Gaeta, who, if he doesn't get out of there, is going to get rushed and die. So, luckily, our destroyer there recognizes that and begins leaving. We don't want him to die trying to defend that against 3 ships, because that's rarely going to work out for him. So what's the thinking here? Why are we abandoning a cap we control? Because we can't hold it. This game is, part of overcoming some of the frustration in this game is recognizing what's actually possible. Not what do I want to be possible, not what do I want to do at any given moment. You're always going to have ideas like, okay, this is what I need to be doing in order to win the game. And that becomes more and more accurate the more experience you get. But that's always tempered by the fact that reality sets in and you can only do what you can actually do. So that's not the most tenable flank to be holding over there. If they ever become more aggressive instead of passively sitting way in the back in the north there, they'll quickly kick the crap out of us. The Surrey cannot defend against the King George moving in, and the destroyers team up against the Gaeta, and the Warspite not in position to do anything. So hopefully we can hold on to that cap for scoring purposes as long as possible, but you can see now they begin to flip it. And the game plan is, okay, we finally captured the middle here. We got to figure out which side we're going to have more success on. Now, looking at the map, neither look that attractive because we've got a lot of ships surrounding B or are in B. They're not really in positions to, pressure either flank. But Red's forces in the southwest on the A cap, smaller forces, potentially easier to punch through. So I'm going to become aggressive here. We're going to move into A. Doesn't really matter if we're getting spotted. We need to make some plays happen, especially if we're looking on the map and we're seeing a bunch of guys just kind of hanging out. Because defending B while they control both flanks, that's a losing strategy. Even though we got a nice point lead here, ship-wise, they're up, and they're in the process of getting 2 of the 3 caps, which is going to turn the situation sour very quickly. So, pushing forward here, we're getting spotted. We did shoot, so the Aoba, if he had a line of sight, would be the one spotting us. I don't believe the New York or the New Mexico could. Benson's a likely candidate for who's spotting us. There's also a destroyer, at least one destroyer in C, who's probably got a decent shot of spotting us. So there's, we're evaluating constantly in this game who do we think is spotting us. That's important information. But Benson, kind of being aggressive here. He was deploying smoke. He's just shooting me in the open water. Risky play to be attacking any cruiser with a destroyer. Not generally the first type of play you'd want to be making. But nevertheless, we're driving him back. He deploys the smoke. We put some torps down there just in case we can get him. And T-61 spotted across the map. We need to be doing damage to these destroyers. They got 3 destroyers. We got 2. That's a major advantage, especially in a game like this, which is going to come down to cap control. And you should be able to recognize pretty early on when a game is likely to be coming down to score or heavily influenced by the score. And this is looking like one of them. So we've had teams that are both playing the caps. They're flipping the caps back and forth, trying to control the bases. That's a good early sign that you should be thinking about. You always want to be thinking about and pursuing the cap strategy, because that's a winning strategy. Ignoring it's a losing strategy, but you got to pursue it with extra vigor when both teams are actively playing it. Benson, I don't know why he left the cloud, and then he immediately began open water gunning me again. We blasted him pretty hard there, and now we're rushing in. Let's go. We got the sonar going for another 10, 15 seconds, whatever it is. So we're going to have early warning for these torps, hopefully. And we got planes. That's another thing. If we're currently being spotted by that plane, which we will be intermittently on the red team, well, that opens us up to a torpedo strike. And now we've lost our sonar. We've lost our plane. Oh, there he is again. So I don't know. He's not exactly playing the safest game here. We can assume... Why would he squirt around like that? You know, watching this back. I didn't make the connection when I was playing it. It was an error. But the fact that he squirted around there with no real plan, he's either committing suicide, which is something you see destroyers do often, or he's just squirting around there just to get some torps off. So I wasn't expecting a torpedo strike here. Well, initially I was. You could see I angled in directly at his dead body. But as time goes on, you begin to move on with your life. You begin to forget. And the American destroyer torps are so doggone slow that they're going to kind of surprise me after we think that they're not really involved anymore. So we almost derailed this. I'm calling it a comeback effort because I don't really feel like we're doing that great, even though we've been in the lead for the most of the game. Anyway, you've been seeing on the comms there, I was the Queen, or whatever that was, Warspite, Queen Elizabeth, whatever it is, trying to ping on A, and it looked like he was sailing over here. We only need one ship to come over here. Make sure you understand that, and make sure you understand, okay, we got the A flank is coming under our control. Now what do? We capture and control the center, capture and control flank, clear the flank. Well, that's all been done, or it's in the process of being done. Final step, control the center, defend the center. So we got destroyer coming over here. Nope, stay on B, keep spotting those guys. Battleship coming over here. Nope, I don't need help capturing the base. You know, it's always risky. I understand that when you're playing with randoms, if you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to let that random player on my team capture that base, about half the time they're going to grossly disappoint you and either get on the cap and start capping it and then leave with 2 minutes left or 2 seconds left before they capture it, or they'll just won't capture the base at all. They won't pursue the strategy. So I understand that relying on your randoms, not preferable, but you know, I was pinging that I was going to come over here. I was clearly coming this way. And, you know, just, you got to recognize that at some point you got to start trusting your teammates. Radio's going wild. What's going on here? Why are you spamming? Killing the Mayhan wins or loses this game. If that guy captures B, hell, if he kills that destroyer and then captures B, we're for sure done. But, you know, killing that destroyer is the turning point. It's the last critical point in this game. If we do that and we maintain control of the cap, then I can... Due to the fact that we got less than 3 minutes left and where the score is going to be, assuming we kill that destroyer, I can actually just single-handedly win the game. You know, I can either pressure these battleships resetting B, or I can sail off into the sunset if the points look like they're going to cooperate, which, again, we'll see exactly what the score looks like. When one of these destroyers goes down, that'll give us the clue that we need. And there goes the Mayhan. He catches them with a torp, so great torp into the smoke there. And now you can see, okay, we're up about 110, 15 points. So we can even lose a battleship as long as we control B. And the longer we control B, you know, they can eventually threaten B and we won't even need to control it because the lead will expand. The longer you control 2 caps, they control 1. So at this point, I'm just moving forward here. New Mexico's finally dislodged himself from that island. And not to pick on him because I'm assuming he's a new player. He's shooting HE. He's hiding. But as a battleship, once in a blue moon, you should have full HP at this stage in the game. Once in a blue moon's blue moon, whatever it is. Very, very, very rarely should that ever happen naturally. And it should only happen if you find yourself a great position that you can fire at throughout the entirety of the match and your team's doing a great job spotting and you never have to leave that cover. So I can't personally think of a match that's ever happened to me as a battleship, but I'm sure, you know, it probably happens once in a blue moon. But usually, if you're really late in the game and you're in the battleship and you got full health, you got to say to yourself, what did I do wrong? Because this is a major mistake. You got to be tanking for your teammates. Cruisers that are taking shots because you're hiding, they can't withstand that firepower. You got the armor. Whoa, why does the gun spin all the way around there? Nobody knows. But the battleships got the armor to tank those shots. They're not really... People drastically overvalue battleships. They're by far the least valuable class in the game. What they can do is very randomized. They can get themselves in good positions, yes. But can they punish from those positions? Well, it's kind of up to the RNG gods at that point in time. So anyway, now we've moved north here. We've put this island between us. And even if both of our teammates go down, we should have no problem winning this game at this point in time. And the King George goes down there, sealing the fate. So we don't need to be putting ourselves in spots where one of these battleships one-shots us, kills the destroyer, and then who knows what's going to go down in a 2v1 on the remaining battleship. Just play it safe there. We've clawed back, even though we were technically in the lead for a lot of that game. We were in danger of losing it throughout the entirety of the match. And a good, well-played game on both sides. So this was actually a fun game to be a part of. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships. It's coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you guys. And see y'all later. Peace.